lesson. Knits, self-taught. Next year, Philly, my hand to God, she's going to be at Carnegie Hall. But you, I let you have her now at the old price, okay? Which is anything you want to give me.
Anything you want to give him? Well, he's worth a lot. That's Woody Allen, the incomparable Woody Allen, of course, who is the subject of this special edition of At the Movies called What Makes Woody Run? I'm Gene Siskel, film critic of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert, film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times. Some filmmakers are born and others are made, and Woody Allen, I think, belongs in the second category. He started out as a stand-up comedian, and in his earliest movies, he seemed happy to stick pretty close to that original orientation. But in recent years, with movies like Annie Hall, Manhattan, Broadway, Danny Rose, The Purple Rose of Cairo, and especially his newest, and I believe his best movie, Hannah and Her Sisters, Woody Allen has grown into one of the finest and still one of the funniest movie directors in America today. That's why we're doing this special edition of At the Movies about the man who once said, "Life is full of loneliness and misery and suffering and unhappiness, and it's over much too quickly."
He's also one of the finest writers in America, too. It's appropriate that we analyze Woody Allen's career right now. He's recently turned 50 years old. He's created a film that many people, as Roger said, are calling his masterpiece. But there are still plenty of Woody Allen fans in this country who long for his good old silly days. He gets that complaint all the time for films like Take the Money and Run, one of my favorites, where, if you recall, Woody plays a cello in the high school marching band, and he has to keep picking his chair and the cello as the band moves along. That's a classic scene. Or in a film like Bananas, whereas Fielding Mellish, I love that name, he is caught up in the middle of a banana republic on the brink of revolution in the jungle. Funny stuff.
In the event of snake bite, you make an incision and you suck out the poison. Remember, you suck out the poison. What do you do?
Suck out the poison. Suck out the poison.
Suck out the poison.
I cannot suck anybody's leg who I'm not engaged to.
Suck out the poison. Roger, I want to just tell you one quick story. I took two of my nephews, they were aged 9 and 8, I think, at the time of that movie. To them, that is still the funniest scene in any movie they have ever seen in their lives, and they've seen a lot of movies since then. Allen would film many more gag-filled movies like that one, including the almost surreal Sleeper and the goofy Everything You Wanted to Know About Sex. But suddenly, in 1977, he grew up on film and created his Oscar-winning masterpiece, Annie Hall, a film combining tenderness with gags.
Yeah, where's the spider?
It's in the bathroom.
Is it in the bathroom? Okay.
Hey, don't squish it, and after it's dead, flush it down the toilet, okay? And flush it a couple of times.
Darling, I've been killing spiders since I was 30, okay? Very big spider.
Yeah?
A lot of trouble. There's 2 of them.
2?
Yep, I didn't think it was that big, but it's a major spider. You got a broom or something with a snow
it's
shovel?
at your
maybe, or
house.
something?
I think I left it there. I'm sorry.
have this.
Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Honey, there's a spider in your bathroom the size of a Buick.
A good gag, but isn't their relationship nice? And that's what we're talking about in the development of his career. As Allen's career has developed over the last 17 years, he's been drawn to more serious material in films like Interiors, of course, and he seems to have struck his finest balance, I think, in his latest film, Hannah and Her Sisters, featuring Mia Farrow as the together sister who is kept busy trying to keep her quarreling parents together.
We were making a commercial down at the mayor's office, and there was this young, good-looking salesman, and your mother was throwing herself at him in a disgusting way. And when she found she was too old to seduce him, that he was just embarrassed by her.
Liar! Liar!
And at lunch, she got drunker and drunker, and finally she became Joan Collins.
All my life, I've had to put up with insults from this non-person, this haircut that passes for a man. I could never support us. It's a good thing we had a talented daughter.
I can only hope that she was mine. With you as her mother, her father could be anybody in Actors' Equity.
Again, great gags there, but that serious tone at the end about alcoholism. Of course, the parents there, the late Lloyd Nolan and Mia Farrow's real mother, Maureen O'Sullivan. That scene is more sweet and lifelike than just flat-out funny, and that's the course of Woody Allen's career. Some people complain, why can't he make the old funny ones? Well, my new answer is, he already has made those, and you can rent them on cassette, thankfully. He's now making funny and serious ones, too, and they're worth seeing as well. And somehow, those films last a little longer in your mind after you leave the theater. What we have here, I think, is nothing less than a world-class filmmaker. Not just an American filmmaker, a world-class filmmaker at the top of his form.
And frankly, you know, this is strange speculation, but if he continues to just try to repeat himself with slapstick, gag-ridden movies over and over and over again, the same people would probably be complaining, why doesn't he ever try anything more serious, you know? He writes these great articles for the New Yorker, and then he just gives us that old stuff. So the fact is that Woody is growing, and it's fun each time to see in a movie what he's discovered next, what he's thinking of now, what's on his mind lately.
And yet, his source material is New York City and the neuroses in that city. So what's amazing to me is he still is stretching while shooting basically in the same area.
Of course, you could say that there are enough neuroses in New York City to keep him engaged in new movies for a long time. Coming up next at the movies, where did Woody Allen come from and why did he wind up where he is? The Woody Allen character says at the beginning of Annie Hall that he had a fairly normal childhood, but then we see his whole house shaking as a roller coaster rockets past the living room window. A lot of his humor is like that. He has mundane hopes and fears with a background of the bizarre and the ridiculous. Woody was born in the Flatbush area of Brooklyn, and as a teenager he sold jokes at 50 cents a piece to New York gossip columns before he got his first real job as a gag writer for nightclub and early television personalities. He remembers those days in a scene from Annie Hall.
Stop right in the middle, and then I open with some jokes. Now, that's where I need you right there. For instance, like I say, hey, I just got back from Canada. You know, they speak a lot of French up there. The only word I remember is Jeanne d'Arc. Means the lights out in the bathroom. Oh, I met a big lumberjack.
Jesus, this guy's pathetic. Look at him mincing around. Boy, he thinks he's real cute. You want to throw up. If only I had the nerve to do my own jokes. I don't know how much longer I can keep this smile frozen on my face. I'm in the wrong business, I know it.
Well, before long, Woody himself was standing in front of audiences as a leading member of the late 50s, early 60s generation of great original stand-up comics like Lenny Bruce, Mort Saul, and Bob Newhart. His humor was personal and confessional and intellectual, and just the opposite of the comic that he plays in this scene from Broadway, Danny Rose.
You know, Danny used to be a performer himself.
Yeah, sure. Well, he worked at Catskills. Right. Yeah, did all the old jokes and stole from everybody. He was exactly the kind of comic you think he'd be.
Tell me, God bless you, darling. Let me ask you a question, sweetheart. How old are you? Just tell me how old you are.
81.
81 years old. Isn't that fantastic? No, really. She's 81. It's fantastic. It's just unbelievable. You don't look a day over 80. No, I mean, I'm just kidding, darling, really. I love you, sweetheart. You're really, really beautiful. What sign are you, darling? You know what sign you are?
What?
What? She says what? She's great.
As Woody Allen grew more successful as a comedian, a writer, and a movie director, he grew more and more self-conscious about his fame. And in recent years, all of his films have been shot in secrecy. He doesn't even give them titles until they're ready to be released. It'll be Woody Allen's winter picture, Woody Allen's summer picture. He confesses that he's not sure how to handle the role of famous movie director, and you can see that in this scene from his autobiographical movie, Stardust Memories.
3 little words, 8 little letters, which simply mean I love you.
What were you trying to say in this picture?
I was just trying to be funny.
Do you find it very hard to direct yourself?
Hard? No. I just have to resist the temptation to give myself too many extreme close-ups.
That's at one of those seminars where directors try to intellectualize about movies that were not intellectualized when they were made. Woody Allen explained himself once by saying he was obsessive about things. A line of thinking, he said, will appear in his mind and work its way through his conversation for weeks and months and then eventually end up in the mouth of one of his characters. He said also once that he had not been blessed with the 2 great requirements for a happy life, religious faith or the ability to deny the essential tragedy of life. When those were being passed out to other people, he told me what he got was the ability to write one-liners.
And aren't we lucky? Now, you go back and tell history of Woody Allen and what his roots are. I'll tell you one story he told me that was kind of funny, because one of my favorite scenes is in Annie Hall, when you see the little Woody Allen character being hectored by his uncle, Joey Nichols. And the guy says, and he slaps a nickel on his head, "Joey, you know me, Joey, 5 pennies. And we see the little Woody Allen character walk right in front of the camera and say, "What up?" And I can't repeat the last line. And I said to him, "Were you like that kid? Did you find adults insufferable?" Always trying to be like, he says, "Absolutely he was." So here is this little kid who always saw through the pretense of things. And that's what we see running through a lot of his films. He sees through the pretense of relationships. In Annie Hall, we see the subtitles. He sees through the pretense of relationships in Hannah and her sisters. He sees through the pretense of a lot of things. And he's been seeing through that.
But there's another level there. He does see through the pretense as a child, but also as a child he envies the fact that adults seem not to be able to see through the pretenses. In other words, these people over here don't realize how ridiculous they are to think that they can fall in love and have a family and be married and live happily ever after. And here's little Woody over in the corner, and he'd like to fall for those pretenses, but he can't. He's caught by his intelligence, and so he's left to make jokes about things that I think secretly sometimes he envies. I may be a little too deep there, but I think there's something there.
Yeah, but remember when that couple walks across the street in Annie Hall and he says, they're so perfectly matched, Shelley Hack, he says, "Why are you so happy?" And he says, "We don't have a brain in our heads." I don't know that he envies them. Now, coming up next at the movies, we select and analyze some of our favorite scenes from Woody Allen's movies, and that could go on for hours. Continuing our tribute to Woody Allen, we're now going to pick a couple of our favorite Woody Allen scenes. Where do you begin? I already mentioned the cello playing scene in Take the Money and Run. More recently, I still marvel at that scene in The Purple Rose of Cairo. Woody has a character literally come off a movie screen and talk to one of the people seated in the theater, back in the theater, Mia Farrow, a moviegoer that has a crush on the actor.
You know, I still can't get over the fact that 24 hours ago I was in an Egyptian tomb. I didn't know any of you wonderful people. And here I am now. I'm on the verge of a madcap Manhattan weekend. My God, you must really love this picture.
Me?
You've been here all day, and I've seen you here twice before.
You mean me?
Yes, you. This is the 5th time you're seeing this.
Henry, come here, quickly.
I gotta speak to you.
Oh, my God! Listen, old sport, you're on the wrong side.
Tom, get back here. We're in the middle of a story.
Let me have a look around. Go on without me. We can't continue with the story.
This is Cecilia. I'll go get the manager.
I love that line, "I'll go get the manager." What's she going to tell him? Now, I've said this before. I consider that wonderful scene a tribute to all the lonely moviegoers of the world who have ever felt a special rapport with any actor or actress. Doesn't have to be a big star, just someone that you think communicates directly to you, because it's that communion that is so real and tangible and so much a part of the movie-going experience. And Woody Allen, artist that he is, captures that extraordinary experience in that remarkable scene. It's one of the great scenes about the movies.
It's one of the great symbolic scenes about the way we feel when we sit there in the theater.
Bet.
Right. One of my favorite moments in a Woody Allen movie is from Manhattan, where Woody plays a successful writer who is in love with a teenage girl played by Mariel Hemingway. And in this scene, Woody thinks he wants to break up with her, and notice how delicately, this is Woody the writer now, how delicately the dialogue leads up to the moment where Hemingway sees right through all of his words.
Hey, come on, this was supposed to be a temporary fling, you know that.
You met someone?
Don't stare at me with those big eyes. Jeez, you look like one of those barefoot kids from Bolivia who needs foster parents.
Have you been seeing someone?
No. Yes. Someone older. I mean, you know, no, not as old as I am, but in the same general ballpark as me.
Gee, now I don't feel so good.
It's not right. You know, you shouldn't get high. I mean, you should open up your life. You should see, you know, you've got to.
You keep stating it like it's to my advantage when it's you that wants to get out of it.
Yeah, that's wonderful dialogue. And there's something else I want to talk about in connection with that scene. Obviously, as you were watching it, you saw the bands at the top and the bottom and then the wide picture. Woody Allen shot that movie in widescreen, and when it was released to video cassette, he insisted that it be released with the bands at the top and bottom to maintain his original aspect ratio. Usually in cassettes, they blow it all up to television screen size, and then they pan back and forth.
Right.
And that wasn't the movie he made. And that attention to technical detail and that pride in the technique of his film is really a hallmark of his
Let's give
work.
some more credit to some of the people that have worked on him. One of his producers, Robert Greenhut. One of his editors, Susan Morris. Gordon Willis has been one of his cinematographers. He's kept people along, a team of workers along, and I've forgotten a few names. Those are the ones that come to mind the most. And he has a team that is loyal to him because they make quality pictures, technically quality pictures as well as great films.
So that when you look at them, you know that they're going to look right. Next at the movies, Woody Allen is one of America's best directors, but he's never been one of America's most successful directors at the box office, and we're going to ask why that is. We've talked about how good Woody Allen's pictures are, and so then in that case, why don't more people go to see them? Woody Allen's movies usually make a little money, but they've never made a whole lot of money, like, for example, the movies of a Steven Spielberg or a George Lucas. Everyone thinks Annie Hall was a big hit, but actually it made less money than any other film that ever won the Academy Award for Best Picture. One reason for Woody's uneven box office record, I think, is that he keeps trying to do new things. He does not deliver the same film again and again. For example, he's a big admirer of the great Swedish director Ingmar Bergman, and so he made his own that's a hard one, Bergman-esque film named Interiors that was deep and depressing and the last thing that anyone expected from Woody Allen.
I feel I want to be by myself for a while. Consequently, I've decided to move out of the house. Now, I don't know how I'll feel about it when I finally do it, and it's not irrevocable, but I feel it's something I have to try. As I say, it's not an irrevocable situation. It's a separation, maybe for the best. It may not. But I wanted to lay it on the table in front of everyone so that everything is open and as direct as possible.
A rift in a family, the same subject he returns to in Hannah and Her Sisters. Another great hero of Woody's is Federico Fellini, the Italian who makes autobiographical films that are filled with lots of music and movement. Allen's own Stardust Memories is the story of a few days in the life of a harried movie director, and it was sort of a tribute to Fellini's famous movie, 8½.
We love your work. My wife has seen all your films.
I especially like your early funny ones.
Dick LaBelle. I'm with the museum film department. We have a collection of more than 20,000 prints.
Oh, this is my friend Libby. She thinks you're a genius. Libby just did a definitive cinematic study of Gummo Marx.
Interestingly, he's the one Marx brother that never made any movies.
Hello. Glad to have you here.
Okay, my chance. I'll give you a reason why Woody Allen's films aren't as popular as, say, Steven Spielberg's. Allen doesn't want them to be. He's making movies for himself, as Spielberg has often said he has done. The difference, though, is in the two men. One is a 50-year-old New York intellectual who reads more than he watches movies or TV, and the other is about a 39-year-old Arizonan, Californian, who is a product of thousands of hours in front of a TV set. Spielberg plays to the masses. His eyes come from mass entertainment. Allen plays to the East Side New York crowd. Compare it, if you will, in their action scenes. You all know what a Spielberg action sound and fury scene is like. Look what passes for tumultuous action and say, Woody Allen's underrated Love and Death.
Looks completely different when you're in the middle of it than it does to the generals up on the hill.
Hey, get your red hots!
Of course, you don't see Get Your Red Outs in a Spielberg film, and of course there, Alan is making a tribute to the Russian filmmaker Sergei Eisenstein as well. We're talking gags here rather than gasps of excitement with the Spielberg films, and long live the difference. They both have their audiences. Woody Allen may achieve commercial success with Hannah and Her Sisters. I think it's going to be a big hit. But if it doesn't, I don't think it's going to kill him. And certainly, it won't kill his film, which will last forever. Or as he might say, at least for a long time.
Once when I interviewed him, he said that he liked to keep his movies within a certain budget because it gave him the freedom to follow his whims. For example, he made a movie called Zelig, which was a pseudo-documentary. He made a movie called Midsummer Night's Sex Comedy, which I didn't like very much, which is kind of a whimsical little romance. If he gets an idea, he can go with it. He doesn't have to hit the home run every time, and therefore it makes him a very personal and a very free filmmaker to follow his will wherever he wants to go.
Well, then you want to credit some more people in the movie industry? Let's credit the people who produce his films, finance them. Orion Pictures, these are the old guys from United Artists, and these guys have stuck with him. They say, Woody, make your films. We really don't care if they make that much money. I'm sure they'd like him to make a little more. But basically, he's supported by a whole bunch of people. And I forgot one of his production people, Mel Bourne, who does his production design. Woody Allen has a great group around him. Together, they're making the best movies in America.
Okay. That's it for this special edition on Woody Allen. Next week at the movies, reviews of 4 new films, including 9.5 Weeks, the controversial love story starring Mickey Rourke and Kim Basinger, and Pretty in Pink, starring Molly Ringwald and John Cryer. That's next week, and until then, we'll see you at the movies.
Raisinets and Goobers are playing everywhere, starring plump, juicy raisins and great golden peanuts. Both now feature creamy Nestle milk chocolate. The exclusive Maytag full-size stacked washer and dryer with computer touch controls. It fits almost anywhere. It's from Maytag, the dependability people. Curel moisturizing lotion. Most women agree, Curel ends dry skin.